Good afternoon and welcome to the, or good evening and welcome to the 6 p.m. Special City Council meeting of July 8th, 2025. Please note that all council members are present. However, Councilmember Chaburka has asked if she could be excused tonight. With that, I would turn the time over to Vice Chair Heyer to say the pledge.
Please join me in reciting the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Please take a moment of silence with me. Thank you. Are there any acknowledgements?
Chair, I'd like to just say a few words here. First and foremost, a big thank you to the Ogden City Fire Department and their quick response to my neighbors. I know most of those that live up on Maxfield, and it's incredible what the firefighters went into, and we're able to prevent from becoming a much bigger problem. And so just kudos to all of those who responded and were there and kept our neighbors mostly safe. With that, I also wanted to voice some concerns I've heard from quite a few of my neighbors as well about, we talked about defensible spaces and things, and potential code violations with a lot of dry yards with large weeds that had an ember floated up in the air and landed a block or two away could have created another issue. And so I don't know, I think maybe all along the bench area, it might be, I would recommend we have our code enforcement, take a close look at what's going on in some of those areas and maybe encourage some people to knock down some of those. I received several phone calls and several pictures of some yards that would probably not take a whole lot to create an issue like we just saw. So, but anyway, just wanted to say again, thank you to the police department for keeping us safe. Or the fire department and the police. I'm sure the police were there too, but thank you to the fire department specifically. Thank you.
Great acknowledgement.
Chair, I've got one that kind of follows along with that. It's not really an acknowledgement other than I was traveling north on Harrison a while ago and saw the big sign that the city put up that says, no fireworks east of Harrison, that sign. And on the 4th and 5th of July in my neighborhood, you couldn't hear yourself think, and I'm living in a restricted zone, but it's because I don't think it's well known. I wondered if we could get some of those signs posted at just a little bit south of 2nd Street for the folks that are traveling north, and maybe even on the other. I don't know how many of those we've got, but I think to make that notification to alert people that are living in a restricted zone, that would be helpful, because I don't know how else we're going to do it. Yep. And I also wanted to just acknowledge all the people that have helped the good folks in Texas from the flood. My heart goes out to those folks for the loss of life and all the things that they're dealing with. So.
Any other acknowledgements? All right, moving on, we'll go to approval of minutes. We have a couple minutes of the joint work session of May 6th, 2025. Councilmember Blair.
Yes, I have reviewed those minutes and found them to be accurate.
Thanks. And the minutes of the regular meeting of May 6th, 2025. Councilmember Graff.
Yeah, I've reviewed those, Chair, and found them to be accurate to the best of my recollection. And I'd move for acceptance of the minutes as provided.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilmember Graff, second by Councilmember Blair. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Moving on, we have a public hearing tonight for the 2025-2026 budget amendment. Coralie, are you doing it? Coralie, okay. It says it here on my piece of paper that you're, just making sure.
Okay. So the proposal tonight is for a budget opening that will reappropriate funds from the allocated for future projects into 3 different projects of $2.5 million for the Union Station project, $5 million for the capital outlay building purchase of the jail, and $500,000 for the All Abilities Park. And then we're also recognizing revenue and associated expense for funds that are received from the Dino Park Foundation annually. And all of those are in the CIP fund. The total budget change in that fund, because we're just allocating it from a city council department, and we have to come to you to move it between departments. That part 0, so it's just $12,500. And then in the miscellaneous grants fund, we are recognizing a rebate that we received from Rocky Mountain Power in the total of $58,275. And that revenue will be used on scholarships for youth admission into Marshall White for youth between ages 3 to 17. Just to note, this is no cost to the citizens. And also, there is a revised ordinance language that council staff has prepared if we wanted to just do the jail purchase and not reallocate the $3 million for the Union Station and All Abilities Park, and leave that in the allocated for future projects line item. So the proposal before you is to adopt the proposed ordinance.
Coralie, can I
Yeah.
just ask a question real quick?
Uh-huh.
And I didn't ask this last week. On the sorry, wherever it went, the last. Can you go back one?
Yes, of course. Last time I didn't move forward slides. I remembered to this time.
The scholarship for the Marshall White Center,
Yes.
the $58,000. Is that like the first of any funds to go towards that, or is that in addition to? Will this be in addition to any other funds we already have for that?
I am unsure, and I don't know if Lisa has any information on that. Sorry, I'm stepping in for Justin.
I think it's a
this week.
great idea. I was just curious if we're trying to get to a certain threshold.
We're not. This is a rebate that the city earned. The discussion was to use it for additional capital outlay or use it for the scholarships. And the proposal that administration wanted to put forward was for scholarships. That doesn't mean that the council couldn't appropriate money, but this would just be a one-time source. There was an additional $23,000 that was given to us to help with swimming lessons. So it will treat it the same way, and it will go towards admissions.
Perfect. Thank you.
Any other
Can I
questions?
add to that response too? The scholarships, the grants, the grant from the Government Employees Health Association for swim lessons, that's all part and parcel to how we're approaching the financial model of the entire facility and how we can still provide for a high quality opportunity and high quality facility, high quality programming, while using a membership based approach. The past approach was really based a lot on drop-ins and day use, and we're purposely leaning toward a monthly and annual membership for so that kids and families can build habits of health over time, but it also gives us the ability to predict revenues better, and we want to make sure that everybody has access and opportunity. And so we already have had a number of people take us up on the discount opportunity. Mm-hmm. But this is to make sure that everybody has opportunity if they can't pay at all. And so scholarships for free, reduced, and also a tiered approach for resident and non-resident, making sure that non-residents help offset costs for residents. It's all part of a bigger picture for an approach that allows access for everybody. And we are in additional discussions and are welcoming other partnerships for other corporate sponsors that want to add to scholarship opportunities.
Great.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? All right. This is a a public hearing on just this budget amendment. If there's anyone that would like to speak, please come up and state your name. Nice shirt.
Hi, Travis Pate. As I look at the dynamic of the Make Ogden plan and the expansion and growth of the municipality, I think I had even written a few things into as public comment, which is Olmsted talked about the public space and park, and the jail slowly encroached into the park, which actually was originally roadway. If you look with Lake Street coming through, and then Kiesel used to go through, and so we kind of reclaimed that as park space. But then the county claimed it back as jail space. And so if it's possible, I think that to me, it's just whatever you decide, the jail does probably need to go when other circumstances allow that to be moved. The Kiesel facility and the work thing is still between us and the county, but I think it's a tremendous thing that needs to be reinstituted, and we need to talk to them and say whatever we can do, because I have friends that would have completely lost their jobs if it wasn't for work release. And so obviously we just need to see what sites are available for them for that. But for reclaiming the downtown, I think it's very significant. This building reclaimed part of the downtown because it's right where Lake Street went through. The old firehouse, the old city hall, which was built by David Eccles. But when that was dedicated, they said, oh, it's not going to be big enough. Even when that was dedicated, and they dreamed of something like this. So who could have seen like what their dreams must have been back then for as stately as that Second Empire building was. I wish it was still there because I think we could used it effectively. But I just think that it's a very significant thing. So whether you decide the 8 million or the 5 million, 100%, please agree with this. So.
Great. Thanks, Travis.
Laura Lewis, Ogden City. I've not been following this very closely, but I'd like to know why we have to destroy the building. Could it be repurposed for something else? And is there a plan now? Will the city keep that and potentially expand this back into park to expand the park? Yeah, that's it.
Great. Thanks, Laura.
Hi, Heath Sato, Ogden resident. Is this just for the first part or both parts of there's two options for this one? I'm speaking to both, I guess. One thing I couldn't find of the 5 million allocated for the jail, how much is for the purchase versus demolition? I was just curiosity. And does funding option 2 remove or delay budgets for Union Station and the All Abilities Park? I just wasn't real clear on that. I wasn't able to thoroughly read the packet multiple times today, so thanks.
Thanks. Check anywhere else. I can't see online.
Looks like there's a hand online.
There we go. Great. There's one person online. It says Linda's iPhone. All right.
Hi, Linda Sanchez. I'm assuming you can hear me.
Can. Thanks, Linda.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I do want to just say thank you again for making this available. Unfortunately, I'm out of town helping some family that had some difficulties, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to stay engaged in the community even when I'm not necessarily there right now. As far as allocating the funds to help with the Marshall White for people that need some help with their memberships or whatever. I do appreciate that because, especially with these young youth, if we don't find stuff for the youth to do, they will find stuff for the youth to do. And generally it's not favorable later on. Sometimes idle hands are not necessarily a good product. And being able to go and, use those facilities as an outlet, I feel like sometimes a lot of our youth are put into situations that they're not quite sure how to handle. And sometimes just being able to go and take it out on the field or take it out on the swimming lessons or whatever that, sometimes you can really help your mental health and sometimes to not respond to necessarily the negative things that happen in your life. I do appreciate that. I have to be honest with you. I haven't had a chance to read the packet, but just as far as what I was listening to, moving the jail, we have so many family and community events that is right downtown. I'm thinking that's probably a good idea. With that being said, I don't believe that I'm not in favor of the police being tyrants that we have to be placed in jail for multiple things. A lot of things I feel like we overuse the jails for, that we could actually have people work in the community and actually help benefit the community. Because once you are in the community and help the community, sometimes that helps make you realize how much your behavior actually affects, good or bad, your community and yourself. And as far as that goes, I yield back on that.
Thanks, Linda.
Chair, not seeing any other movement, I'd make a motion to close the public hearing on this item.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Councilmember Myers to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. We have a few things to answer. I think that I will look towards the administration, who's been working quite a lot with the jail and the county commissioners, but just there were questions about
Reuse of the building.
the reuse of the building, the jail, work release, purchase, tear down,
Balance of funds, et cetera.
demolition.
Yeah, I kept notes. So Travis, on the work release, it is an option that has not been available for quite some time. So the proposal, and this gets to the question about the balance and the direction of the funds, how much would be for demo, how much would be for site rehabilitation, how much for purchase, et cetera. The purchase price is not set, so we're in discussions with the county about that. But what we're proposing is that we know the value of the building from an appraisal standpoint. We have some estimates on what it would cost to demo it. And we also know that we have additional need for work release in the city and in the county. We know that we have needs for mental health capacity in the jail. We know that we have needs for winter overflow and for summer code red shelter, et cetera. And so we're proposing that the balance of the funds after purchase and demo would go toward a shared complex and a shared proposal that could be used as leverage and matching funds for potentially county funds and state funds to go and help build the work release beds of the add to the mental health plans that they already have, and to do code red and code blue as well. So the purchase price doesn't necessarily matter in that regard, as much as it just matters that the funds are carried through and pushed through to the future project at 12th Street for additional space. The question about can it be repurposed? One of the benefits for our position and gives us a good leverage is that the facility, in our understanding and through our assessments, is in significant disrepair. It's not in good shape for reuses. It would take significant amount of investment to get it up and running, is our understanding. And so I don't think it's in a good position to be repurposed. It doesn't meet seismic standards of today, et cetera. And so we feel in its current condition, if we were to get access to it, that we would remove that impediment to our downtown and just create the space that we want for our downtown plaza. I think that covers the Kiesel piece. There was the question, does it delay the Union Station and the All Abilities Park
Yeah, I'll address that. We asked for the alternate language only because we haven't had a really in-depth conversation around any of those or the use of those funds. Excuse me. So that that was why we asked for the alternate language. So it would not be allocated to anything else. And as the administration would come forward, we would have the same questions and be able to question them as far as where are we going to put the all abilities playground and what does that mean? And so some of those things. So that's all.
And you probably heard me say it 100 times in various meetings, but the all abilities playground with some limitations we know was intended to be a first step, first phase. That was a project that I've been championing to get completed so that we can start a second phase, which this money is intended to be seed that could be leveraged and matched for partner contributions and donations. So I do look forward to committing the funds in final and having a plan and a proposal from Dino Park that builds on the lessons learned of the first phase. So it probably worked out okay in the long run, but I do look forward to having a finished product eventually. But it's going to require a capital campaign to finish the funding. But I want to make sure that we provide something that they can build on. That's always one of the challenges when you do a project like that.
I think you hit them all, Let me just. Okay. Any other questions? Council comments or council questions? Need a motion, whatever.
Chair, if there's not any discussion, I'll just put this motion out, just because I agree. I think there's probably some more discussion on those two other items. Not that I disagree with them in any way. I just feel like that would be appropriate. And so I would propose we adopt proposed ordinance 2025-21, the alternate funding or alternate version. I don't know if there's any other clarifying. Option two. Yeah.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Vice Chair Hyer to adopt the option 2 of the proposed ordinance 2025-21. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Graff.
Aye.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Vice Chair Hyer.
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye, that passes. And we look forward to seeing those. I think that's.
Yeah, I think I feel like the same as Councilmember Ritchie. I don't have any instant grief about it, either one of those. I just would like the discussion, and I think public discussion is appropriate in those cases, and would be willing to do it at any time.
All right. Next on our agenda is the staffing document amendment. Not sure who's. Orly, you're back up.
Okay, so the next item is an amendment to the fiscal year 26 staffing document. This proposal is to add 5 positions that would allow for advanced hiring of firefighters. These are not budgeted positions. It just allows the fire department to hire in advance for anticipated vacancies. Chief Matthew is here to talk through the operational part of this and how it can be advantageous for the fire department. And yeah. So any questions on the budget side of it? Okay.
Not yet.
Great.
Don't go far. Chief.
Thanks, Corley. Council Chair, council members. The purpose for this is pretty much similar to what the police department's done for a number of years. And it's a way for us to use this tool to do a couple of things. One, to not have a gap or an opening for so long that we either are affected by a level of service or we're affected budgetarily by excessive overtime backfill. Those are the two, operational impacts. That the reality of it is it's a tool that we would want to use sparingly and selectively when we have an opportunity where we know there's going to be an opening or a group of openings coming, but there's a period of time before they occur, meaning that they've given us notice up to 2 weeks to a month that they're retiring or leaving, resigning. And we're not able to really act upon available great candidates until the opening actually occurs because of the limitation of the staffing document. So by having these float positions, we're able to not only recruit, but seek out either lateral candidates or other high quality candidates that at the time, we're kind of in transition. When I first started as chief, we would establish one hiring list. It would last an entire year. And by the time we got to the number 10 candidate, it was time to do a new list because the quality of the candidates had dropped off. That's not the way. The last 5, 6, 7 years, we were competing and we were doing hiring lists 3, 4, and 5 times a year. And we were just trying to find eligible, capable candidates sometimes, and we couldn't get to the cream of the crop because we couldn't be nimble or quick enough. And when we had civil service where it was really a laborious and time drawn out process. Now, we have a nimble hiring process, but it still takes from the start of announcement to getting them through our training academy, it's upwards of 13, 14 weeks. And if we have this gap before we can make an offer to an individual that's a very high quality candidate, the new hire candidates are told when they get out of cadet school to apply all along the Wasatch Front. And a firefighter, because of our work schedule, is a 4896. They work for 2 days and then they're off for 4. The travel and commute is not nearly as significant of an issue as it is for maybe someone working 5 days a week or 4 days a week. And so to travel once a week to their job for a 48-hour shift and leave, it's not that big of a deal to go to 5 or 6, 7 fire departments from here to Salt Lake. So for us, we want to be competitive enough to be able to offer the position when it's available, when we know the opening's there, and this high caliber candidate is being interviewed by 3 or 4 different fire departments at the same time. And so being more nimble to be able to make this offer sooner, getting that person trained sooner than waiting for the opening to occur will give us some time to be able to not have these gaps in service and the higher cost of overtime. So that's what it's for. We understand that they're not funded positions. It wouldn't be a tool just used because it's allocated. It'd be used when the opportunity presents a situation where we want to take advantage of it and get a commitment out of a high quality candidate before they commit to another department.
Chief, just a question, why 5, not 10 or 3, or is there specific significance to 5?
Typically we would do things in series of 3 because we have 3 shifts and the impact is we can spread it out amongst the 3 different shifts. But 5 is I think ample because the reason I want the limitation of 5 is so we don't get into a situation where we overextend ourselves budgetarily. And I think 5 is also enough to where if we do have and I'll give you an example. This month we had an announcement that was 2 weeks and only 2 weeks. And it was kept to the individual until they said, I'm retiring in 2 weeks. And that's all notice we had. I've had another one that was 2 months notice. And so that advanced planning and the difference between employees deciding when they're going to let us know gives us that flexibility. So 3 would be the minimum. I think 5 is a good number because it gives us a little bit more flexibility in case we have some unannounced, rather short notice resignations.
Any other questions? All right.
Now I understand why I didn't get hired. I was number 5 on the list. They took the first 4. So
there were other reasons.
I'm glad you said that.
You know, if I wasn't retired, I probably wouldn't have said that.
It's okay.
Thank you, outgoing Chief Matthew. Wow. Yeah, and I think I've said this a couple of times. If we are at 100%, the way that we have used our vacancy dollars in these departments to help with bonuses and COLA and things like that, I just am more of a concern. But that's the good outweighs some of that. So thank you.
And I appreciate the use of the words sparingly and selectively, and with a mind on the budget. I see the advantage of this tool, and with those things in mind, I think it puts Ogden's Fire Department in a competitive position with regard to bringing in really top quality recruits.
I think it really helps. You know, the thing that was compelling to me is they wouldn't have to use so many overtime hours, things of that nature. I think that probably has it will certainly offset itself that way. I think we do need to be in a position where we can take the best and brightest as quickly as possible, and this allows that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. Ready for a motion? No more other comments?
I'll make a motion.
Is this a public hearing on this, or?
Oh yeah, sorry. Thank you. This is a public input. If there's anyone that would like to speak to this, please come up and state your name. And sorry, I turned my page, so thank you.
One online already.
Linda, hold on. You're unmuted, Linda.
Linda Sanchez. I just want to say there's probably one thing that a homeowner would not want to have happen would be to have a fire and to have somebody come in and have no experience and say, hey, I just got hired and I'm not quite sure. Our department did things a little differently, which our fire department is the most professional I've ever seen, so this would not happen ever there. But sometimes when you are down and out people, sometimes you're needing bodies to do whatever they can. Definitely training and cooperation in the department, I could only imagine, is probably the most essential thing to have things run like butter, smooth sailing. I'm just going to tell you, every apartment or every time I've ever had to call on the Ogden City Fire Department, they're amazing. They're utmost the best. We should be praising them very well. And if we can help people by getting some top-notch people to do that, and obviously the chief has done an amazing job, and I'm sure he's training his predecessor to understand that this could be a tricky situation. You could kind of screw yourself. Well, I shouldn't say that. That's not very good. But you could either make things harder on yourself and the community with this, or you could actually help to make sure that you have the best and most professional department. So I'm in favor of it with just like everyone else has said, sparingly, and realizing that this could potentially, you're going to have to watch it. But experienced people are experienced people, and they're worth the time that the community, sometimes it doesn't come at the same time that you have it opening. So sometimes you have to jiggle things around. I yield back, and I have only good things to say about the Ogden City police or fire department.
Thank you, Linda. Anyone else?
Chair, not seeing any movement. I would make a motion we close the public hearing on this item.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Vice Chair Heyer, to close the public hearing. This is a voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Chair, I'd make a motion that we adopt proposed ordinance 2025-22.
Second.
We have a motion by Vice Chair Heyer, second by Councilmember Ritchie, to adopt proposed ordinance 2025-22. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Graff.
Aye.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer.
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye, that passes. Good work, guys.
Thank you very much.
Outgoing.
I'll give you a little slack on that comment there, Chief.
Watch out for the retirement
Jeez,
kids, right?
no kidding. Better be. Next on our agenda is public comments. This is an opportunity to address the council on any concerns or ideas. Please come up, state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Laura Lewis, I got a lot to say. First thing, just a question. Whatever happened to the 100 Cities solar project with Rocky Mountain Power? Next thing, I visited the water treatment plant and was very impressed with that facility. I think you guys were supposed to be there and canceled just before I got there. I wondered if I had something to do with that. But anyway, it was an amazing process. And the people up there were so committed to what they're doing up there and doing a good job looking for ways to be more effective. I talked to them about taking the residual product they remove from the water and using it the green waste, and they're already doing that. So they are all over it. Then next, the green waste. I love that place. That's one of the best things Ogden City's got. Great people, great products up there. I love that place. The people, just like every place I go in Ogden City, the only people I argue with are you guys. Everybody that works for you, they're pretty good. Green waste, those people are so helpful up there and just willing to do anything. The place is always squeaky clean and just a great experience all the time. Lester Park, I love that idea. I like things like this where people can attend something, bring their families, and it doesn't cost them anything. It's like what we used to do when I was a kid. Families went to the park. They didn't spend a dime. I spoke with the person at one of the meetings about Wonder Block. He's very concerned because he's a low-income person. He says, there's nothing there I'm going to be able to afford to do. So I would hope that the city would focus more on things like this and less more of a balance. I know you want the revenue, but sometimes you got to take into consideration quality of life. And will the pickleball courts have lights? Also, the issue of speaking time, that is going to be very difficult to do fairly, I think. When you start trying to say one person can have 3 minutes, another time you only get one. I think you're going to have to set some kind of guideline so it becomes impartial. Also, one thing, and this really alarmed me, what I saw a realtor, a real estate company marketing Ogden as a spillover option. Well, that's not their terms. A spillover option from Park City. That real estate up there is getting so expensive, come to Ogden and buy Ogden. I don't know if you people share that philosophy, but I am worried about the people who live here now being able to afford homes. I think the people that are here should have some kind of protection that, and I know this is kind of walking a fine line, but they need to be able to have homes, affordable homes. And how are you going to combat this type of thing? Time up. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura. You're getting faster at your words. I know.
What?
You're fast now.
I had to get a lot in.
I know. I tried to write them down instead.
Here's my notes.
We'll go to Linda's iPhone while some are walking up, it looks like.
Hi, Linda Sanchez. I have to tell you, the other day when I was out of town and I heard about that fire up on the hillside, it brought me back to a previous council meeting where Councilman Graff was talking about his concern about this and what we should be doing differently to protect people. I just want to say I want to send my prayers and everything like that with the family that lost their home. But I do kind of feel like we might need to revisit this. You know, I lived in a small town called Loveland, Colorado for a while, and they did not have fireworks. They had a little, it's a city park, and they have a water, and they would water ski on the city park. And they would shoot the fireworks off from around the park so that if anything happened, it would go into the water. And I just think with things, how things have been changing and everything like that, I mean, nobody wants to lose their home. Nobody wants to have to go through that. And I was coming home I was coming through, it was last year when I was coming home from my nursing. I was trying to get back to my house, and I felt like it was a war zone. And to try to maneuver in the city on the streets. And I'm going to say, I personally don't care about the fireworks, other than probably about 7 years prior, I saw a neighbor almost start another neighbor's garage on fire, and it went underneath a vehicle. And thank goodness everything was okay. But just in a split second, you can affect somebody's life and your own. And some of those things that happen, we can't get people back. It just might be something to think about in the future. Laura, I appreciated all your comments. But I just think there might be some truth to that, and there might be some ways that we could bring more community together to do something like that. But it's obviously not one person's plan. It would be everybody's, but then maybe how we could keep each other more safe. I don't know. Just a thought. Sending blessings again to that family. God bless.
Thanks, Linda. All right. Wait, sorry. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Nadolski, council members, and fellow residents of Ogden. My name is Malik Dio, and I'm here tonight as a voice for those most at risk in our community, particularly with the looming ice raids causing fear. Let me be clear, my advocacy is not a personal attack on the mayor or the administration. It's about addressing the real fear people are living with: fear of family separation, fear of arrest, and fear of being forced to leave their homes. This fear doesn't only affect undocumented immigrants. Even documented individuals and U.S. citizens have been arrested by masked ICE agents, creating a climate of fear that impacts everyone regardless of their status. I'm not asking you to protect criminals or people who are here illegally. What I'm asking for is leadership that makes it clear this administration stands firmly against federal overreach and the use of U.S. military in our city. Vocal opposition to federal overreach and the tactics of federal immigration enforcement will show Ogden prioritizes its residents over federal actions. Beyond public statements, I propose that the city take immediate action to protect its community by implementing Know Your Rights campaigns, distributing multilingual informational materials, and offering legal support resources to those who need it. These efforts will help ensure that residents know their rights, reducing the likelihood of abuse, and will create a safer environment for everyone in Ogden, regardless of their immigration status. This city's hands are not tied. That's a lie. We can take action now, and we should. Lastly, I respectfully address a point made by the mayor suggesting that if any rights are violated during federal enforcement, legal action could be taken afterward. While I agree that people should seek justice, I believe we must prevent rights violations from occurring in the first place. I'm not asking the city to break the law or defy legal measures. Rather, I'm asking for proactive steps that ensure we don't have to deal with the violations later. Lastly, I respectfully address a point made. Okay, sorry about that. By educating the community, providing legal resources, and making it clear public statements against federal overreach and military involvement, we can prevent these violations from ever happening. So I ask you, Mayor and council members, to take a stand today. Let's show Ogden that our city government is committed to protecting all our residents and standing firm against federal overreach. Finally, the administration shouldn't play victim or go silent when the pressure is put on them to answer difficult questions. And Mr. Ritchie and Mr. Graff, thank you for being the only ones that had the decency to respond to my emails. That speaks volumes for the rest of you.
Thanks, Malik.
Heath Sato, Ogden resident. Just to piggyback on that for a little bit, I do think we need clarity about what our police force's role will be when the public, documented or otherwise, doesn't trust that the police force is there to protect them and their community. It reduces reporting of crimes. It makes the community less safe, and it goes exactly counter to what is trying to be accomplished by rounding up criminals, and I'm all for rounding up criminals, but I think our police force should be left out of that, and I think we need some clarity on that. As to the public comments thing, we would only be reducing the amount of time and or spent on comments per person or in total when there's a lot of people here. And when there's a lot of people here, there's a lot of people that have never been here, a lot of people that rarely come here, and this is something that's very important to them. And if they come here expecting a certain amount of time to be able to speak their mind, even if it's repetitive, even if it's something you don't want to hear, even if we got to stay super late, I think it just leaves a bad taste when we ask the public for more input and more involvement, and then when they finally do take time away from their families, away from work to do that, they end up getting cut short. And I think I've heard, I've been on this side of the dais for like 7 or 8 years now, and I hear a lot of people when we do have cut times, it leaves a real sour taste in their mouth, and they come away not liking what happened. So just something to consider when you're talking about that. And let's see how much time I got left. Real quick, the park, I just want to make sure, I have a little bit of concern with the color scheme as I saw it right now. It's kind of matches the corner and Dumpke Plaza, and I think it's getting to be a bit much with the bright 80s colors. I think it works in certain little spots, and I don't think we want a pickleball court that's super bright color, do you?
I might.
Okay. I get blinded easily.
I might.
But that's it. Thanks.
If it's lit.
All right. Thanks, Heath. Any other comments?
Hi, Deborah Darrington, again with my passion for history. And as I've given a lot of thought from interacting, I have more questions than answered, but maybe something that can be put into consideration. The process of trying to figure out how to get a connection between city and landmarks has proven to be difficult, not only for me, but for my architect, who have approached it multiple times. We aren't quite sure, and it's not made clear exactly how detailed drawings need to be for projects that we're doing. And so to be better safe than sorry, I have, to meet a really tight deadline, put close to $8,000 into plans. And as we met today, we still weren't sure if we had enough to present, because we can't afford to have that not pass and have to wait another month for landmarks to meet. And we're not getting those answers from Haley. So we need a liaison somewhere in between there that can kind of make that connection. As a way of preserving the buildings, I saw that the stockyard is it's in some dangerous territory. And I love preserving historic buildings, but they are time consuming. They take a lot of patience, and they are not at all like regular construction or renovation. For instance, just today we were simply transplanting 7 boxwood. And we started at 8 a.m. and we completed, and Fabricio was one of my fastest, most meticulous, hardworking individuals on my team. And at 5 o'clock, he finally completed planting 7 boxwood. The problem is, on this historic building, we came into decades and decades and decades of people making changes and revisions and things that are in there. So we ran into sprinkler lines, roots this big, electrical lines, buried dormant lines that we didn't know. So those are things become very costly and very expensive, and we anticipate those. But if there's a way for the city to meet us part way on that, maybe waiving some of these fees on permits, and definitely, as I see the time clicking down, I would desperately ask, beg, plead, borrow, please be very mindful of what is going on in the corridors of especially our historic districts, where we have multiple expensive historic homes that the city has invested much of their money in rehabbing and getting back to single-family dwellings. We are seeing that our borders are being so encroached upon, and I am seeing it more this summer than I have ever seen, to where I didn't used to lock my doors. Now I lock them behind me every time. I lock all of my belongings down. So some food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Travis Pate. One dynamic that, just like echoing my neighbors, is the historic preservation aspect. Strong suggestion would be removing landmarks from planning division and putting it in neighborhood development, because neighborhood development is who did the Jefferson Avenue Historic District. It wasn't landmarks. It wasn't planning commission. It was neighborhood development, and then they came, and then everybody else came on board, and we ended up with some amazing infrastructure that I think are missing out on. And I think the one thing with planning division, an ordinance needs to be changed. I submit something for a landmarks consideration and nomination. They ho-hum for over 6 weeks and then use an ordinance against me that says, oh, we have 60 days to act. So you now have 2 weeks, Landmarks Commission, to act on Mr. Pate's petition that he filed over 6 weeks ago. Wow, I just got beat up because planning division decided not to act on it and hemmed and hawed about bringing it to Landmarks Commission. You don't really want me to do all this work, do you? They said in the September meeting as they pushed me to the October meeting. And then they said, oh, now you have till November to act on this. Why are we getting beat up when we're just simply trying to preserve the town? And how is it not a conflict of interest when planning division just comes into my neighborhood and says, bulldoze this, build 24 townhomes, not even looking at the historic aspect of the Crittenden home. And the individual didn't even own the property of the Crittenden home, but planning division agreed with it. Didn't send it to landmarks first. I've asked continuously that we actually, for the Central National District as well as others, that any front yard addition, side yard addition, rear yard addition, or demolition possibly be reviewed by Landmarks Commission. But it's a complete conflict of interest when a developer comes in and we tax increment finance Adams Avenue right next to the William K. residence. And it's just outside the Adams Avenue CRA. So we're using Adams Avenue CRA to bully the neighbor on the same block with regards to historic preservation. View corridor, vista preservation, access to light, that's all part of our general plan. And yet we're going to build a skyscraper, almost like a battery's not included, right next to the William K. home, which was 4 generations in the same family. William K., founder of Kaysville. his homes here in Ogden, but we just said, yes, finance it. Let's build it right to the property line. Let's encroach downtown into the residential district. So something really needs to be done overall besides just us spending money on a plan that we haven't consulted Preservation Utah for their historic preservation. We haven't consulted with Envision Utah with regards to land use and transfer development rights. We're just saying we'll do it in-house with one consultant. And we have so many able-bodied people. We've seen that with all of our team efforts for the activities that we do here. So let's please do it for the general planning of our city. Thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
That's a record, just so you know.
We'll go online to Teresa's iPhone.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Thank you. Thank you for taking my call. I apologize that I cannot be there in person tonight, but I am obligated otherwise. This is Teresa Bramwell, and I have just a couple of frustrations to vent. First of all, I have a suggestion about the police station. We used to have a police substation on 25th and Monroe. And when we had that police substation on 25th and Monroe, there was infinitely less crime there than there is today. I think it has been well noted that there is an enormous amount of crime on 25th and Monroe. I don't know where the criminals are coming from exactly. I've been trying to figure that out. I have a few ideas of where they're coming from, but I think the police presence that used to be there helped with keep the crime at bay for the residents and property owners that are trying to exist there. The second idea I want to talk about is I contacted a commercial real estate agent that claimed to be the best in the Ogden area, that he controlled 40% of the commercial market in Ogden City. And I was having a conversation with him about my property, looking for options to do with it, either put in a tenant or find a new owner that might have some ideas to do with it, or do a lease on the land. I came up with lots of different options, and he seemed to think that those all suck really bad, and the only option for commercial property in Ogden is to demolish the buildings and sit on vacant land. That is what he has done with his personal property. He told me he owns multiple lots in the block next to mine between 24th and 25th on Monroe. And that is what he has done with his personal property. He's purchased buildings and demolished them and then sits on the vacant land for many, many years. And he said that is the best option for properties in Ogden. So I don't agree with that. I think that idea is terrible. And I don't know how we can circumvent that idea as being the ideal for Ogden City. But I'm looking for uses or tenants or new owners or just anything to make my property functional. So I'm putting that out there, and I hope that I can get some options. Thank you.
Thanks, Teresa. Any other comments?
Madam Chair, seeing no other public comments, I move we close the public comment section.
Thank you.
Do we need a motion to do that?
Okay.
Yeah.
But, let's go through these really quick.
But I have made that motion before.
Yeah,
so.
don't worry. Yeah, I was about ready to say, why do we have a second? I'll try to answer a few of these. The 100 Cities Solar Project, or the 100 Cities Energy Project, has stalled, and I'll look to Janine to kind of maybe answer any of that. Just so you know where we're at, we're still moving forward. I think it's more in the hands of the public.
Yeah, actually, I think there's a couple of things that have happened. They actually did issue an RFP for a developer to develop the solar farm. And there is still some proceedings before the Public Service Commission that are ongoing, or hoping that will be done by the end of the year. Just trying to resolve some issues between the Utah 100 community group and Rocky Mountain Power. There's still some negotiations on cost, and that's why they need to know how much a facility is going to cost to be built before they can determine, and then how much Rocky Mountain Power is going to need to stand up the program. So yeah, I mean, it's a lot closer than it was a couple of years ago, but still a ways to go.
I'm glad you were able to, Laura, out of everyone that should have gone to the water treatment plant, it was you bringing in the.
I think that's why they asked me to come.
Yeah, that was great.
Shut up.
Yeah, it's a really interesting.
It's amazing technology they have.
And thank you for the great shout outs to the staff. They do a great job, even though you didn't give us the same shout out. That's okay. I don't even get a smile out of her. I can't even see her from here. Let's see. The fireworks, I think Linda Sanchez I think we are continually work with the state legislators and trying to figure out how to do the fireworks. I think most of us on this up here agree with that. We'll come back to the ice raids and those kind of things. Let's see, Deborah, I think, I don't know you, she's left there. I think, administration I think we walked away, or you walked away last time with a similar question. I don't know if you've been able to it hasn't improved. So maybe working out. Preservation always, Travis, thanks for all of that. I think one of the things that would be very helpful is to make sure that you're in those conversations as we're doing Plan Ogden and Zone Ogden right now, and some of that outreach. Teresa, you did reach out to me, and I forwarded your email on to, I think, our CED folks. So yeah, I see Jared back there. So hopefully you can hook up with her. And as far as ice raids, I actually think Chief Subi was really good at talking about those last week in our work session, and was very clear about the 287G. Is that right? But Malik, I really liked your suggestions on Know Your Rights campaigns. That's and the legal resources, and so that was really a great suggestion on how we can help. And I'm probably missing something. And I think Keith, you had similar. The public comments, we've wrestled with that quite a bit. So, anything that I missed? I missed something else.
About real estate.
Oh, the real estate. I don't think that was our campaign. That was a realtor that is taking advantage of trying to get people to come here. So that's not our campaign, or I don't think it is. So, at least I haven't heard of that. So, but Ogden is a great place. So I think that realtor is a smart person trying to get more people to come into our city. Any other council member comments?
I think you covered it.
Okay. Mayor, would you like to speak to any of those, or did I?
Yes, please.
Or expound on any of them?
I'll try to speak to all of them. I'll rewind by going to the acknowledgements where there were questions asked, and I'll answer those questions as well. So,
thank you.
If there's ever questions that come up, please feel free to turn over to us for timely answers as well throughout the meeting. I first wanted to start and say the same thing you said, with some accolades for police and fire for the fire at the top of 9th Street. If any of you have been to the site itself, the proximity of danger is really, really shaking. To see just how close the homes are there, how close they are to the open space, and to see how close they were to burning was really telling. And it shows the amount of professionalism that I think all of us are hearing about and reading about of our fire department. They did an exceptional job on the ground to make sure that that didn't get worse than it was. We have an awesome relationship between our police and our fire department as well. And we often hear it on the inside. So I want to share it to you guys externally that when a big fire event happens, you often hear the police department brag about our firefighters. When a big police event happens, you hear our firefighters do the same about our police department. That absolutely happened this week. We had a summary from a duty lieutenant during the incident that talked about while police was going out and working on knocking on doors and clearing homes to make sure people were safe, they were really blown away by the professionalism of the fire department. And then I heard the fire department talk about how quickly our police department reacted and responded and were able to get to every door and get people evacuated as quickly as possible. So I'm really thankful that we have such a strong group in both sides and that they work so closely together. Both sides deserve a lot of praise for making sure it didn't get worse than it was. We were really mindful of what's coming on the 24th. Want to reassure you guys, reassure the public as well, that we're taking the 24th very seriously, as well as the days before and after where people are allowed to light off fireworks. We're going to have an ops plan in place for that builds on the experiences we had during the 4th, including the input we've gotten from council members, including Councilmember Heyer, about what you're experiencing on the north end. We're seeing similar things in our patrols as well, where there's different amounts of cooperation with the ordinance north to south throughout the city. And so we're going to be really focused on focused communications in the areas where we have the most concerns up on the north end. We've got tools to help with that. We want to make sure that we're addressing trailheads and parking lots, et cetera, and activity there. We'll make sure that we have an ops plan that puts priority in the areas of patrol where they're needed the most. I'll go down the list of things that came up in the order they came up. If I miss anything, let me know. I also want to thank the council for supporting us in our proposal to appropriate the $58,000 and some more in change of funds for Marshall White Center scholarships. That's the final piece that allows us to have both a tiered rate structure for residents and non-residents. Non-residents paying a higher fee, that fee offsetting the fees for regular prices for residents. Remembering that we are emphasizing not daily drop-ins, but emphasizing membership fees for creating habits of health, but also making sure that we've got tiered structures so there's opportunities for access for everybody, regardless of your socioeconomic. So non-resident, resident, discount, and now we have fee waivers completely through scholarships with partnerships from partners, but also from the scholarship funds that we've appropriated tonight. So thank you for that. Laura, I think it was you that asked about the Community Renewable Energy Act, CREA.
Which one?
The Community Renewable Energy Act. You call it the solar 100 city?
100 cities.
Yeah. We're still waiting for a response from Rocky Mountain Power. As per the law, it's still in their court. I am not hearing any progress there. I do think that changes in the private market, and especially around federal subsidies for solar and for renewables, has probably changed a lot of that. So there's a lot of uncertainty, but we're not hearing anything in terms of it coming back to us, and we're still awaiting response there. I sent a message after you asked, Laura, and hadn't heard back on the pickleball courts if they'll have lights. I don't know the answer to that. So if, yeah, I'll try to remember to answer that.
Actually, in our meeting today, Justin said, yes, they will be lighted.
Oh, did they? In the work session? Perfect.
Potentially.
Perfect. Thanks. Oh, you're talking, wait, the Leisure Park?
Yep.
Sorry, I was assuming you were talking about Marshall White. I don't know.
They are that.
I don't know why.
Charging us to use them.
They're
not supposed to be charging.
When you, correct.
You're just talking to yourself, Laura.
The comment, Laura, about we should be focused on the projects for quality of life. I think that there's ample opportunities and examples of where we're investing in quality of life, especially for free, reduced, and affordable opportunities for access to health, habits of health, outdoor recreation, parks and amenities, etc. I recognize that maybe the Wonder Block doesn't have something for everybody, but we are trying to provide a community where everybody has something. So to say that just that project doesn't provide for quality of life for somebody doesn't mean that we aren't providing quality of life elsewhere. I think that we're doing a good job of making sure that we're trying to be balanced in our approach. The question about Park City spillover, I think Council Chair White nailed that. That was not our communication piece.
No, I know.
I don't see it that way. As I read the article, I felt like it was more of a highlight of Ogden Valley. And I felt like the Park City overflow element really applied more to Ogden Valley, but they talked really broadly and just called it Ogden. But really where they talked about our involvement was the downtown and being a close, short commute to the downtown from the Ogden Valley. So I don't view us as a Park City North or whatever. I absolutely want to invest in our people, give our people access to opportunities, and let our people have access to have the ability to elevate their lives and have upward mobility in life. And I don't really think about Park City very often when I think about our future. So just speaking for me. Malik, just want you to know that I do not take it personally. So don't worry about that. I did not like where things went over the weekend. I recognize that you've got strong feelings, and I've got friends and people in the community that stepped up, and it got really messy, and that's not the direction I want to see things go. I'm super mindful of the climate of fear as well. And as the mayor, I'm really mindful that my words can add to or settle the climate of fear. And I'm admittedly choosing my words very carefully around this because I don't want to create more fear than there needs to be or there is. You talked about federal overreach, and I'm not entirely sure what that means, but if it means that the federal government is acting illegally, there are means for us to respond to that, and we would do that. If we're talking about overreach being something that we don't agree with, that's a different case. But what I want to be mindful of is that I'm watching the news as well. I'm seeing what's happening around the nation. And I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're not seeing any indication of any of those things happening here in our city. We're just not getting any of those indications. And so I'm mindful of reacting to what may or could, or what we're seeing in other cities. So it's hard for me to take proactive steps, not knowing that that's happening here, or knowing that I'm not seeing any indication of it happening here. So I'm not trying to dodge the questions. I'm not trying to dodge the issue. I'm trying to make sure that we are communicating clearly, because when I say that we follow the law, when I put out a message, I'm not just communicating to the community members. I'm communicating to our police officers. I'm communicating to federal officials, making it clear that we are a city of laws, that we expect the law to be followed in our city, that we're going to stay in our lane where we have authority, and we're not going to venture into a lane where we don't. So when I say things like we don't have the authority to enforce immigration, it means we're not participating in immigration checks. We don't have that's another way of saying it. It's not legal for us to ask that question. We're not asking or seeking authority to do that. There are very few cities across the country that do. We're not going to be one of them. We've made that clear in our communications. And so it's hard for me to know exactly what to say for every circumstance that may or may not happen, other than to say I'm just not seeing indication of what I see on TV happening here. If I do see that indication, I would absolutely change my posture. You would see me change the way I'm speaking based on what I'm seeing. I'm also confident that whatever I say is never going to be quite enough. It's probably not going to answer everything specifically enough. But I'm doing my best to make sure that we are not one of the cities that we see on the TV. Heath, you asked for clarity about if OPD is participating or not. I think I mentioned that earlier. We are not participating in that. We're focused on reduction of crime and crime alone. We don't have any authority, nor would it be legal for us to participate in enforcing immigration law. Deborah, I heard more specific requests from you. It was my understanding that our team reached out to you on this issue. It sounds like it didn't answer your question. So I know specifically what you're asking for now. If you want to stay after and talk with Mara, you're welcome to do that. But I don't want you spending money needlessly. I am getting a lot of pressure from both directions around landmarks right now, just in the last couple of days, actually. So we will be pushing out a advertisement for new landmarks commissioners. This is an issue that just suddenly heated up, but I just for me, I know that in the neighborhood that's not the case, but it's on my desk, and I recognize that. There's a balance between historic preservation and private property rights that we're trying to hit, and it doesn't sound like we're quite hitting that. So that's an issue that needs a lot of attention, and I'm committed to give it the attention. It has been a topic of discussion for Mayor and I a lot in the last couple of days. I think I covered everything on my sheet. But,
going through my list as you were going through them. So.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Mayor. Comments from council members? I just have one. Malik, I apologize. Your email ended up in my junk, and I really apologize that because I would have responded to you. So it's a junk. So sorry. Any other comments? All right.
All right, with that.
Next on our agenda is consideration to adjourn into a closed session.
Chair, I would make that motion. We adjourn into a closed session.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Ritchie, second by Councilmember Graff to adjourn into a closed session. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember Blair.
Aye.
Councilmember Graff.
Aye.
Councilmember Myers.
Aye.
Councilmember Ritchie.
Aye.
Vice Chair Heyer.
Aye.
Chair White.
Aye, that passes. We will adjourn from the closed session.